Many years ago, when I had the opportunity, I did a lot of sailing. It was with tiny boats, a plank and a sail, but sailing is sailing, and I really enjoyed it. I've been in canoes and kayaks, motorboats, and jet skis, but none of them gave me the exhilarating feeling that sailing did, when the wind would catch the sail and the boat would keel up smartly and race through the waves. Sailing required a little more out of the operator of the boat, a constant awareness and the ability to react quickly to changing conditions. Anyone who is something of a sailor loves a fresh breeze. Even on land, feels it in that breeze the potential for a good ride. I heard about the latest America's Cup race, how one of the boats came back from an 8-1 deficit to win 9-8. That made the news. That big of a comeback draws attention no matter what the sport. But this was sailing, so I thought I'd check it out on man's new best friend, the internet. The complete racing series was there in full, and I watched all 19 races. 19 because the boat that eventually won had been penalized 2 points for some funny business in the preparation, attempting to cheat with the weight, and therefore had to win 11 races to win the cup. The production I watched was fantastic, first rate. They had cameras and microphones everywhere, on board, under the boats, beside the boats, over the boats. They had computer simulations for tides, current, wind, and racing strategy. The winner of the previous cup race gets to select the venue, the format, and the boat design. The San Francisco Bay was the scene, with 9 races to win, and the boats were called AC-72s, catamarans with a tall mainsail and a fixed wing. These huge boats are incredibly quick on the water, much faster than the wind, which seems to defy both common sense and the laws of physics. But it's true. In a wind of 20 knots, these boats can top 40 knots, 50 miles an hour. They're made of high-tech materials designed by a team of engineers, and there's never been anything like them on the water. When conditions are favorable, the boats don't ride on either hull, but rise up on foils so that they really are flying. Thus, the sail is a wing. Their performance is spectacular, breathtaking, a billionaire's wet dream. Of course, they're expensive. The entire operation of mounting a challenge for the Cup costs many millions of dollars, appeals to a severely limited audience. The American defender was a software database billionaire with a crazed Ted Turner-like Type A competitive streak. He had 4 wives, a long string of fancy cars, a bunch of mansions in the finest locales, some very aggressive aircraft, one of the Hawaiian Islands, and a huge hard-on for the America's Cup. The American team, USA, was defending the Cup against the team from New Zealand. The challenger's boat had the odd designation Emirates New Zealand, and the American team was strange. They were led by a famous sailor from, where else, New Zealand. The pilot of the boat was from Australia, manifestly evident every time he opened his mouth to speak. His main onboard advisor was Sir Somebody from Great Britain. There was one American on the boat. On the broadcast I watched, the announcers dutifully referred to the crew on the defending boat as the Americans, even though only one of them was. And when that boat would win, the spectators on shore proudly waved American flags, chanting, "USA, USA," as if this was some native achievement. The Cup was won by a billionaire and his team of carefully selected mercenaries. It was what you might call a global effort, and I think this perfectly reflects the way of the world today, or maybe any day. Money flies the flag it wants. Columbus sailed for Spain. Big corporations are globally staffed, globally situated, and globally engaged. Their market is global. There are still nations, and people think of the world as consisting of many nations, and people prefer their own. They're patriotic. This feeling extends to military service, in which soldiers serve to defend the rights of their respective nations. But more and more, the interests are not nations. They are incredibly wealthy people who hire the best people from anywhere to work for them, and while also maintaining the appearance of a national presence, because there is much to be gained by appearing to be what you most emphatically are not. The so-called Team USA boat epitomized that. We Americans are frequently called upon to support this interest or that action as being one of American initiative, when it is that in name only, or the flag only. And I fear that brave and loyal people give their lives to causes that are more about someone's pocketbook or vanity than any semblance of patriotism. But that's probably always been true. Rich old men declare war, and poor young schlubs fight and die in them. Yacht races, at least, are bloodless.